And hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. Reggae and dancehall artists from the golden generation of the 1970s are among the most colorful and wackiest personalities you will find anywhere. And when you delve deeply into the amazing stories of their everyday lives and antics, their tales are worth being made into movies. From the utterly hilarious to downright dangerous or even a bit of both, there are countless stories to tell. And who's best to share these incredible accounts than the people who were right there with them in the thick of all the action, like the great Copeland Forbes, veteran show promoter and legendary artist manager who's worked for everybody from Peter Tosh to Bob Marley to Jimmy Cliff, the Mighty Diamonds and Dennis Brown, among many others. In recent times, he's told the outrageous story of a dangerous altercation and scenario that played out between the genius eccentric dancehall DJ Dillinger and the mercurial charismatic Joseph Hill, the frontman of the legendary roots reggae band Culture. A clash that took place for the silliest of reasons and almost descended into a fatal resolution, but was resolved at the last second to the relief of all present. Now let's take a look at the day Dillinger almost shot Joseph Hill. The year was 1977 and reggae music was simply exploding in popularity all over the globe. Frontline reggae artists were in high demand for shows and tours, mostly in the UK and in the US. And from an organizer's point of view, as far as the American and indeed New York scene was concerned, one of those who had it on lockdown was a Jamaican former radio DJ and ace events promoter named Ken Williams. In that particular year, Ken Williams flew in a large troupe of artists to play some shows on Broadway, starting at a popular venue called the Beacon Theatre, and the acts he brought in included Inner Circle, Meditation, the Moniaka Band, Culture, and Dillinger. And the tour manager was none other than the great Copeland Forbes, whose job it was to bring them from Jamaica to America and take care of all logistics. At the first show scheduled to hold at the Beacon Theatre, everything took off pretty well, with Inner Circle, led by the iconic Jacob Miller, rocking the house and thrilling the audience big time. However, someone in the crowd who had brought in a handgun at some point fired a shot into the ceiling, causing a stampede that emptied the hall in a matter of minutes. Luckily, there were no lives lost or any serious injuries recorded, so Ken Williams had to reschedule that show to a date that was 1 week later. So to save the costs of 7 days worth of extra hotel bills, he made the shrewd decision of housing all the artists at a house he owned in Brooklyn for the duration and the rest of the tour. At the beginning of that tour, it had been all fine and dandy, with the artists fairly well spread out in their hotel. But putting all these colorful and eccentric characters in a single smaller space would inevitably cause sparks to fly. And 1 week extra to doing nothing led to a very rowdy house and an almost fatal clash between two artists. Lester Bullock, aka Dillinger, would in those idle days make a hobby out of relentlessly making fun of Joseph Hill, teasing the Culture frontman non-stop. So one day, Dillinger riled him up so badly that it degenerated into a brawl. Though Dillinger had a sharper tongue, being a DJ and all, Joseph Hill was the one with the better fighting skills as he proceeded to lay a thorough beating on Dillinger in Ken Williams' living room before Copeland Forbes and the others helped to break up the one-sided fight. But anyone who knows the thing about Jamaicans can tell you for free that most of them have the incredible talent for teasing. And Dillinger became the butt of several jokes after getting the beating of a lifetime. So according to Copeland Forbes, Dillinger would later that day step out of the house, presumably to go and visit some relatives in the Jamaican community in the Bushwick area of Brooklyn, not too far away. But when he returned, not too long after, it became clearer what he went out for. Just like the notorious American gangster that he borrowed his stage name from, Dillinger stormed into the house with a 9mm Glock handgun and began to comb the entire building looking for Joseph Hill. And the Culture frontman was in the kitchen cooking his favorite meal of rice and cabbage, totally unaware of what was heading his way. Dillinger tracked him to where he was and pointed his gun straight at him as he turned around with a spatula in his hand. Copeland Forbes and all the others rushed in after him, expecting the worst. The first words to come out of Dillinger's mouth was, "Aya, me have to have some of that food." Scene? Joseph Hill, who had been cocky and victorious after the previous face-off, looked totally humbled and scared at the sight of Dillinger's gun and humbly responded, "Yes sir." At gunpoint, Joseph Hill quickly dished out a huge plate of rice and served it to Dillinger, who was now seated at the table with his legs crossed. And when he did that, Dillinger's face was softened from a very menacing frown to a huge smile before bursting into laughter as he lowered his pistol to everyone's utter relief. And before you knew it, everyone was eating, and by the time the plates were empty, they were all smoking their spliffs and having a good laugh over all the day's drama. Just a regular day, I guess, in the lives of Jamaica's golden generation, a truly unique and special breed of people. Volatile, unpredictable, but definitely very brilliant and endowed with unbeatable levels of talent. So the scheduled show would hold a few days later without any further hitches, and all the artists would deliver spectacular performances that made the tour close as a big success. Thank goodness it ended without any more artists drawing guns on themselves, and more especially thank goodness that Dillinger didn't pick on Joseph Hill for the rest of that tour. Ken Williams would organize a similar event of reggae stars on Broadway in New York 3 years later with Dennis Brown as the headliner, and though not as wacky as the previous one, it also had a very chaotic outcome. But that, dear viewers, is a story for another day. So there you have it. Thank you for watching this video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.